We're in the Himalayas chasing a legendary treasure hidden in a cave, but when an avalanche traps us, we uncover a frozen World War I lab filled with dead scientists and a deadly secret. As we delve deeper, we uncover a catastrophic experiment gone wrong, a biological weapon that turned on its creators. Now we're racing to escape before the mountain, and the horrors we've awakened claims us too. This is the most dangerous expedition of our lives. Mikhail led a diverse band of explorers into this treacherous domain. A veteran mountaineer with a history of failure, his stern eyes betrayed the weight of past regrets. Anna, the scholar driven by an insatiable need to decode ancient symbols, followed close behind. Raj, a pragmatic geologist whose scientific mind sought evidence of rare minerals, marched steadily while his thoughts strayed to mysteries beyond the physical. Elena, the dedicated documentarian of the journey, carried not only a camera but also the unresolved mystery of her vanished father. Kiran, young and impulsive yet desperate for recognition, raced along narrow ridges in pursuit of glory. They had come in pursuit of an old legend promising a treasure beyond gold or jewels. The lore spoke of an artifact lost during a secret expedition decades ago, a prize said to hold infinite energy, a weapon of unimaginable power, or something otherworldly. Their motivations diverged. One sought redemption, another the thrill of discovery, while others chased legacy and personal closure. The team advanced along a narrow path marked by an incomplete map and scattered clues from local lore. The mountains, magnificent yet indifferent, challenged every step. A change in the weather signaled the onset of an unforeseen crisis. The wind roared, swirling snow into a blinding veil that obscured the trail. They pressed on, but the sky darkened abruptly. In a heartbeat, a deafening rumble shattered the stillness. A monstrous avalanche surged down the slopes, burying the trail under a cascade of ice. Plans splintered as the threat demanded immediate action. The group scrambled to find shelter, forced by nature's fury to abandon their original course. Amid the falling debris, the team discovered an anomaly, a metal structure partially entombed in snow and ice. Its steel doors, rusted and scarred, bore faded insignias hinting at an era-long past. This man-made edifice did not belong in the natural landscape. It stood as a relic of human ambition, buried by time and disaster. The need for shelter overrode the lure of the legendary cave, and the group redirected their efforts to the mysterious building. Clearing the snow and forcing open the sealed door, they stepped into a realm where the chill of the mountain yielded to a cold grip of decay. Inside, the facility lay in eerie preservation. The air felt stale and unmoving. Frost clung to every surface, while shards of broken glass scattered across rusted machinery. Each step along the silent corridors stirred remnants of a past marked by desperation and abrupt flight. The building itself narrated a story of hasty evacuation and catastrophic failure. Dim, unreliable light revealed halls that once buzzed with human activity, now stilled by time and tragedy. The first signs of the facility's true nature emerged in the form of lifeless bodies. Along a long corridor, armed guards were found with expressions frozen in terror, their uniforms bearing insignias of a clandestine military project from the early 20th century. Their positions spoke of sudden violence, and the grim evidence hinted at chaos that had overwhelmed discipline. In adjacent rooms, scientists and laborers lay slumped over desks or huddled together, as if seeking protection against an unseen enemy. Each discovery forced the team to reckon with the grim cost of forgotten ambition. Anna and Elena soon uncovered scattered journals and research notes on a dust-covered desk. The documents revealed that the facility was part of a classified project. The records detailed a top-secret endeavor aimed at developing a biological weapon, a project known only by its code name. Detailed entries described the containment and eventual outbreak of a highly contagious disease designated Frostbane. One final log entry declared simply, "It is out. God help us." The plainness of those words belied the enormity of the disaster, casting a pall over the entire expedition. The pursuit of a legendary treasure had led them to a chamber of ruined ambitions and dire warnings. The facility housed more than frozen bodies and scattered documents. Experimental chambers lined its corridors, each filled with glass tanks containing preserved specimens. Some tanks enclosed what appeared to be human subjects, while others held animal forms in states of suspended animation. Cryptic codes and dates adorned each label, offering tantalizing clues yet no clear explanation. The presence of these specimens confirmed that experiments had crossed moral boundaries, a dark side of scientific exploration conducted under desperate conditions. Sealed off from the rest of the structure were quarantine zones behind heavy, marked doors. In these areas, the team found additional bodies clad in protective suits. The circumstances of their demise hinted at violent struggles and frantic attempts to contain the unknown. Each new room added layers to the facility's dark history, transforming the building into a vast repository of catastrophic ambition and human suffering. The atmosphere grew heavier as the explorers pressed deeper into the bowels of the facility. They sensed that the walls held secrets never meant to be exposed. A pervasive unease settled over them. Every step evoked the presence of a menace not entirely of the present. The silent corridors and oppressive cold merged to create a palpable tension, suggesting that the danger they faced might be as much psychological as it was physical. Mikhail's mind raced with memories of his own past failures. He had embarked on this journey seeking redemption, hoping that this expedition might restore his tarnished reputation. Yet each grim discovery deepened his internal conflict. Anna's scholarly fervor clashed with an instinctive dread as she painstakingly translated cryptic symbols etched into the walls, symbols that warned of a power never meant to be disturbed. Raj maintained his calm exterior, though his rational mind could not dismiss the scientific impossibility of the experiments described in the logs. Elena, driven by the need to resolve the mystery of her father's disappearance, saw in the lifeless faces of the lab workers reflections of her own lost past. Kieran, whose ambition burned bright and reckless, pressed forward with a determination that bordered on foolhardy. The team advanced with caution, yet the oppressive environment began to affect them. A subtle disorientation took hold, and the boundaries between reality and delusion blurred. Shadows moved at the edges of vision, and the steady drip of melting ice resonated like the tick of an unseen clock counting down to further catastrophe. The mounting psychological pressure lent an eerie quality to the facility, as if its long-dormant horrors were seeping into their minds. Fragmented logs and scattered documents gradually revealed the catastrophic end of the facility's operation. The project had gone terribly wrong when the disease mutated beyond the control of its creators. The experimental strain, intended as a weapon, had evolved into an uncontrollable force. Entries detailed how researchers and soldiers turned on one another, their attempts at containment proving futile. The facility became a tomb, a monument to the hubris of those who dared play with powers beyond their comprehension. Each piece of evidence reinforced the notion that ambition, when unchecked, leads to irreversible ruin. A turning point emerged as the team assembled the final fragments of the facility's dark history. They discovered that the building had been designed not only for research but also for containment. Heavy doors and sealed chambers had been installed in a desperate bid to isolate the outbreak. The log entries recounted frantic measures and the grim realization that the experiment had unleashed forces no one could control. Every new piece of evidence intensified the understanding that this was a place where human aspiration had collided disastrously with nature. Confronted with the mounting evidence, the group reached a fateful crossroads. The dangerous secrets of the facility begged the question of whether to destroy the evidence or salvage it for scientific inquiry. Mikhail and Anna found common cause in the belief that the knowledge contained within these walls was too dangerous to be released. In contrast, Kieran and Raj were enticed by the possibility of groundbreaking discovery. Elena, torn between her desire for answers and the instinct for self-preservation, became the reluctant pivot around which the group's decision turned. The internal conflict intensified as each member wrestled with their own ambitions and the implications of unearthing forbidden knowledge. The decision was abruptly underscored by a physical crisis. The temperature had plummeted further, and the structural decay rendered the building volatile. The ground trembled beneath their feet, and parts of the facility began to crumble. It became clear that the window for decisive action was closing. The internal debate over whether to preserve or destroy the secrets gave way to a desperate struggle for survival. The crumbling corridors and falling debris demanded swift, decisive action. The descent from the depths of the facility became a harrowing test of resolve. The unstable structure transformed the familiar corridors into treacherous traps. Mikhail led the retreat, his experience and determination serving as the group's guide through chaos. Each step was a battle against collapsing ceilings and shifting ice, a struggle to leave behind the repository of human folly. Every room they escaped was a repository of unspeakable horror and unanswered questions, a stark reminder of the catastrophe that had unfolded within these walls. The escape was marked by a series of narrow misses and split-second decisions. In one corridor, a collapsing ceiling nearly sealed off their route, but Mikhail's quick thinking revealed an alternative path through a side passage. In another instance, a sudden gust dislodged a slab of ice that narrowly missed Raj as he navigated a narrow passageway. The relentless pressure of survival propelled them forward, even as the weight of past calamities pressed on their hearts. Each perilous step underscored the grim reality that the facility's dark legacy would not allow them to leave unscathed. At last, the survivors emerged back into the harsh light of the mountain. The storm had subsided, but the relentless clarity of the Himalayas remained unyielding. On a narrow ledge high above the valley, the battered team paused to catch their breath. Their bodies bore the marks of the descent, and their minds were burdened with revelations too heavy to forget. The mountain, indifferent and majestic, appeared to reclaim its secrets as it had done for centuries. In the silent aftermath, each survivor was forced to confront the profound impact of what they had witnessed. Mikhail's stoic resolve was now tempered with the realization that redemption came at a cost measured not in medals, but in the scars born of guilt and loss. Anna's insatiable curiosity for ancient lore was now intertwined with the knowledge that some legends carry dire warnings that must be heeded. Roger's scientific inquiry had evolved into a cautious exploration of forces that defied conventional logic, while Elena's personal quest for closure was marred by the unbearable weight of her discoveries. Kieran, whose youthful ambition had almost precipitated disaster, was left to reckon with the consequences of reckless pursuit. In the days that followed, the survivors dispersed into the wider world, each carrying the weight of their experiences like an invisible burden. Mikhail retreated into solitude, haunted by the memory of a past expedition marred by failure and the recent calamity that now defined his existence. Anna buried herself in research, meticulously cataloguing every detail of the cryptic symbols and ancient texts in hopes of piecing together the lost history of a civilization long erased by time. Raj documented every fragment of data, his scientific notes becoming a chronicle of a failed experiment that had transcended the limits of human control. Elena compiled her images into a silent archive, a visual testimony to the tragedy that had claimed so many lives and, perhaps, a clue to the fate of her father. Kieran, his youthful bravado now replaced by a heavy measure of regret, wrestled with the bitter truth that ambition unchecked leads only to ruin. A silent pact bound the survivors together. They agreed, without a word spoken, that the location of the facility and the grim legacy of Project Frostbane must remain concealed. The knowledge they had unearthed was too dangerous to be unleashed upon an unready world. And yet, the memory of what lay beneath the ice, of experiments that defied nature and ambition that cost lives, would haunt them for years to come. The secret was locked away in their minds like a dormant threat, a reminder that some mysteries are best left undisturbed. Even as time moved on and the wounds of the expedition began to close, the specter of the facility lingered. The mountain, vast and indifferent, continued its eternal vigil over the secrets hidden beneath layers of ice and rock. The ruined structure, now collapsed and buried once more by the relentless forces of nature, stood as a mute testament to a catastrophic overreach. The survivors often found themselves glancing back over their shoulders at the distant peaks, wondering if the terrible secret might one day resurface to challenge the natural order again. In quiet moments, each survivor grappled with the realization that their lives had been irrevocably altered. Mikhail spent long hours in silent contemplation, burdened by memories of both past failures and the disaster that had unfolded within those metal walls. The rugged beauty of the mountains, once a promise of redemption, now served as a constant reminder of the cost of hubris. Anna immersed herself in ancient texts and faded records, seeking answers among the cryptic symbols that decorated the facility's walls, yet finding that every revelation brought with it a new, darker question. Roger's notebooks, filled with observations and theories, became his sole companions as he attempted to reconcile rational science with the chaotic reality of nature's wrath. Elena, whose photographs captured the stark evidence of their ordeal, saw in each image a silent chronicle of loss and the elusive search for truth. And Kieran, his earlier arrogance tempered by harsh lessons, was forced to acknowledge that ambition without wisdom can only lead to disaster. The legacy of the expedition spread slowly among those few who knew its true details. In hushed recollections shared in dimly lit rooms, the story of the mountaineers and the ruined facility became a cautionary tale, a reminder that the pursuit of forbidden knowledge often exacts a heavy toll. Official records remained silent on the matter, as if the mountain itself had orchestrated a perfect erasure of human folly. Yet in certain circles, among scientists and historians working at the fringes of accepted knowledge, the tale of Project Frostbane persisted as a legend of warning. The secret of the facility, its dark experiments and the resulting catastrophe, served as a dire admonition against unchecked ambition. Time passed, and though the physical scars of the journey slowly healed, the psychological wounds ran deep. Each survivor found that the lessons of that fateful descent influenced every subsequent decision. Mikhail's quest for redemption took on a new form as he dedicated himself to mentoring others who sought the heights without understanding the depths. Anna's passion for uncovering ancient secrets was now tempered by the awareness that some legends are shrouded in danger, their truths best left unprobed. Roger's scientific inquiries evolved into a cautious respect for the unknown, a recognition that not every mystery is meant to be solved. Elena's pursuit of personal closure gave way to a sober understanding that some questions, once answered, only reveal more profound uncertainties. And Kieran's once burning ambition matured into a quiet resolve, tempered by the painful knowledge of the consequences that come with overreach. Their shared fate became a silent narrative that resonated with the indifferent majesty of the mountains. The expedition was not a triumphant conquest, but a bitter lesson etched in ice, a reminder that the promise of treasure and glory can mask a peril far greater than anyone could imagine. The dark legacy of the facility, concealed beneath layers of ice and sealed by time, was a warning that would persist long after the survivors had receded into memory. The secret of Project Frostbane lay dormant, an ever-present threat waiting for the day when another soul driven by ambition might awaken it. In the aftermath, quiet nights brought restless dreams filled with visions of crumbling corridors, sealed metal doors, and the sight of lifeless eyes staring back from the darkness. The survivors carried the memory of that place as an unyielding burden, a silent mentor in the art of caution. They understood that their encounter with the ruined facility was not an isolated incident, but part of a larger narrative about the limits of human aspiration and the unpredictable power of nature. The mountain, vast and eternal, stood as the final arbiter, its icy silence a constant reminder that some secrets are better left buried. Under a vast, unyielding sky, the survivors carried the legacy of their expedition as both a curse and a guide. They had ventured into the depths of ambition and encountered the stark truth of human folly. The mountain reminded them that every discovery carries a cost, and that the pursuit of power often unravels the very fabric of life. In the cold, relentless silence of the high peaks, the secrets of the past lay waiting, ever patient, ever dangerous. The expedition was over, yet its impact would endure in the hidden corners of the world, a somber reminder that some mysteries are best left buried in ice. In the quiet days that followed, each survivor found themselves changed irrevocably. Mikhail's eyes, once hardened by years of loss, now reflected the fragile hope that wisdom might emerge from tragedy. Anna's scholarly work continued, but with every deciphered symbol came the acute awareness of nature's warning. Roger's meticulous research became a blend of scientific inquiry and humble awe for the limits of human control. Elena's photographs evolved into a silent elegy to lives lost and dreams shattered, while Kieran's reckless pursuit of fame gave way to a newfound respect for caution and responsibility. Their lives, forever intertwined with the dark legacy of the facility, became a constant dialogue between ambition and restraint. The secret of Project Frostbane was not simply a chapter of history. It was a living lesson that echoed in every decision and every step taken in the shadow of towering peaks. The survivors accepted that some truths, however compelling, demand sacrifices that reverberate far beyond a single expedition. The cold majesty of the Himalayas bore silent witness to their transformation, a testimony to the enduring power of nature over human aspiration. Thus, as they ventured back into a world that remained largely unaware of the calamity beneath the ice, the survivors carried with them a heavy charge: to guard the secret of the ruined facility and the dark experiments of Project Frostbane. They knew that the mountain would keep its silence, preserving its hidden horrors until a future day when fate might compel another to disturb its slumber. Their journey had ended, yet its lessons would live on as a stark reminder that some treasures, no matter how alluring, come with consequences too grave to bear. Under a vast sky, the survivors accepted that the mountain's secret was an eternal part of the world's dark tapestry. They had glimpsed the dangerous intersection of human ambition and nature's unyielding force. In the cold, unyielding landscape, the memory of the facility and its catastrophic legacy remained, a silent warning to all who dared to seek power without heed for the natural order. The expedition had etched its tale into the icy slopes, a story of ambition, caution, and irreversible consequence. In the end, the legacy of their journey endured in the silent vastness of the mountains. The ruined facility, now lost beneath layers of ice and debris, awaited the day when its dark secrets might be uncovered again. The survivors carried with them the knowledge that the pursuit of forbidden power could unleash a force that would forever alter the world. And so, beneath the indifferent gaze of the ancient peaks, the secret of the facility remained locked away, a dormant threat that would haunt the dreams of those who dared to remember its name. Under a vast sky, the survivors carried the legacy of their expedition as both a curse and a guide. They had ventured into the depths of ambition and encountered the stark truth of human folly. The mountain reminded them that every discovery comes at a price, and that the pursuit of power can unravel the fabric of life. In the cold silence of the high peaks, the secrets of the past lay waiting, ever patient and ever dangerous. Their journey was over, yet its impact would live on in the hidden corners of the world, a somber reminder that some mysteries are best left buried in ice. In the final light of day, as the survivors receded into distant memory and the mountains resumed their eternal vigil, the legacy of the ruined facility and Project Frostbane remained. The secret lay deep within the ice, a dormant horror preserved by nature's indifferent hand, waiting for the next bold soul driven by ambition. The story of their descent, marked by peril and irrevocable change, endured as a silent caution to all who would dare disturb the delicate balance between human aspiration and the relentless power of the natural world.